Hey guys, my name is Roland. I'm born in Slovakia, but I'm living fifth year already in Singapore. I just arrived yesterday. Apparently I sleep just 2 hours because we have jet lag, and it's my first presentation in my life, so sorry if something not works. I'm working in a VFX industry already more than 15 years. I started in UPP Prague, and it was really fantastic years for me, guys. I've been here 8 years, and until now I have the best friends here in the Prague. Even I'm not living in Czech Republic more than 7, maybe 8 years. After that, I moved to Framestore, London, when I was really very lucky because they gave me opportunity to work on show Gravity. I worked on Gravity 9 months, so for me it was codename Gravidity, and it was something fantastic. I have very, very, very good memories on the show because entire show was very well organized and was super enjoyable. From my part of the view, it's definitely one of the best shows when I work in my life. After that, I have opportunity to be in RSP Australia. They are in Adelaide, beautiful city, very, very enjoyable for living. After that, I went just for a while to DNEG London on Tour 2. And after that, I've been for a while in Scanline Munich. And they called me back to DNEG London to work on Jupiter Ascending. And I said, okay, Jupiter Ascending sounds okay, why not? But reality is that when I arrived, my supervisor visited me and told me, hey Roland, currently we need, it will be possible that you will help us as a lead compositor on the show, because we are missing some people. I think that it was actually time when ILM opening in London. I didn't get this opportunity because I'm so good, but I gave the opportunity because there was not another people. So sometimes you need to have luck. And in this time, my English, and you can hear that my English until now is not very good, but this time was my English that somebody was talking 20 minutes and I just said, okay. But I have no idea what he was talking about. So I said to my supervisor that it's fantastic honor for me. I'm really happy to take over this opportunity, but with my English. And he was super funny and he just said, yeah, but you are here to make shots, not talk. So I will be happy when you will be less talk and the people will do exactly what you want. Then I, okay, that sounds perfect for me. Let's go. We can try how it will work. I have really fantastic memories on 6, maybe 7 months what I work on it. And that was something what I would like to give you guys, that if you will be working in VFX industry, that really is everything possible. Trust me, it's a good choice. And you will never regret. After that, I moved to ILM Singapore for 1 year contract, but I love Singapore really a lot. So I decided to stay there longer, and I worked for ILM 4 years in a row. So they gave me opportunity to work on multiple Star Wars shows, like Rogue One. I was for 2 or 3 weeks on Episode 8. I was helping finish some shots on Solo. And my first show for them was actually Warcraft, which I know was not very successful movie, but it was nice in different kind of the way. Another show what I worked for them was, I think, Avengers 2. So after that we made Avengers 3, Transformers 5, Ready Player One, Aquaman, Bumblebee. And last year actually is very funny that we had 3 movies by ILM which I worked on for Oscar nomination, but we didn't get it. So usually even you have 3 from 5, it doesn't mean that you will get it. It's okay. But I've been super lucky that I've been part of the crew which works on movie Gravity and Interstellar, and they won Oscar and BAFTA award in the Best VFX category. It's not that somebody came and, hey, Roland, here is your Oscar. That's not working this way. It's just I'm one of the hundreds of the people which work on these 2 shows. So I'm super happy that they gave me opportunity to be part of these things. Together, I've worked maybe on more than 30, 35 movies. Honestly, I don't remember the number, but these one are the most interesting for me, what I worked on. Enough about me. Now, as I said, we have project which we would like to show you today. And you will see also some stuff from this which wasn't able to see nobody else. So it's exclusive just for Splash, this kind of the videos and view. And if you would like to work in the VFX industry, you need to know or you need to have some kind of the skills. If you know all the terms, what you see now on the screen as photography, color theory, camera, lens and tracking, ISO, shutter, and actually you can see all of them. It's not necessary to read all of them. We can split it into 2D and 3D category. Immediately when you are familiar with all of them, you are already VFX artist and you can enjoy your career. But in moment when no, we preparing some courses when we would like to explain all these things to beginners or also intermediate level people to better understand how and why we are doing these things in VFX, why they are so very important, and how you actually cannot be able to create any shots without those things, or quality shot, because if you are in overseas studios, they are expecting from you super high quality. If not, they will not hire you anymore. So you have to be able to understand all those things what I'm showing. Even you are a compositor, even you are CG artist, art director, or even you started in Roto department and you would like to evolve, because I seen in ILM that there are people which started as a Roto artists and they gave opportunity to evolve on junior compositors, but automatically when this is happening, these things what you can see is immediately necessary to know and understand. So here is our current project. I become VFX mentor for company LFO Design, and we are creating now online courses for VFX artists. Our focus is for 3D rendering, FX simulation, and 2D compositing. Why we are doing courses, I actually explained already, and it's because many people which are connected with me over Facebook, LinkedIn, and in any other social networks has many requests like, hey Roland, can you help me with this? What I have to do? Can you help me with showreel? I will be super happy when you can mentoring me. So actually after months and months of these communications with many people across the entire world, we decide, okay, maybe now is really time to create something what can help all those people, not just one, and they will be able to be connected with me directly, because as your mentor, I'm available for you 16 hours daily. Rest, I'm trying to sleep, but I'm not very successful in this way for now. So that was necessary to come with something which will be able to give you guys the best possible content on the market, and which will have no problem to share techniques from VFX industry, which are definitely you cannot see in the free sources. And also they will share the easiest way how to learn efficiently, because this is very important. If you are watching YouTube videos, and many of them are very good, I'm not saying that don't do it, do it. I'm watching YouTube tutorials until now, and I have 15 years of experience. Problem is that they are trying to say in 1 hour what is really necessary to say in 5 minutes. So until you are done with all these videos, you lost already 2 years actually. So we try to find something when 1 hour thing we will try to explain in 5 minutes. And there was necessary to find for that also which software will be for you on the beginning the best, if you would like to learn efficiently. Because I know that Maya is the most important software in VFX studios. It's true. But there is also, you have to understand that not every single studio is using just Maya. Some of them using 3D Studio Max, some of them have pipeline on the Houdini, and there are many other variables, some starting now with Blender as well. and some of them have Cinema 4D. But immediately, when you understand how works Cinema 4D, you will be able to apply all these things almost for all these softwares, because Cinema 4D, as I will show you soon, makes sense for beginners. And as rendering software, I chosen Redshift 3D. It's actually a new renderer. The first company which starting using it massively is Blizzard. And many studios now starting to use it as well for a very important thing. And it's because it's fastest physically based renderer on the market. So what does mean is, imagine that you are a freelancer. I think that you have not ILM render farm at home. So you're supposed to be render stuff for your clients or stuff that you would like to have on showreel or any other reasons as fast as possible. I love Arnold, I love V-Ray, I love RenderMan, which ILM is using a lot, but I don't like to wait on the results. And Redshift, doing the same results, if you know how to handle it, is the same PBR renderer and supporting metallic and also specular workflow. So you need just one GeForce card and you are good to go. Also, they're using support for C4D, 3D Max, Houdini, Maya, and Katana. It means I bought one license and I'm using it in all these softwares. We chosen Cinema 4D because it's user-friendly, it's easy to learn, growing popularity, and new tools are really very enjoyable and impactful. But I didn't know in this time that Cinema 4D will acquire Redshift. So actually I did another lucky guess choice of the software, and now it seems to be that it was really very good choice. Because for 3D Studio Max or for Maya, we have, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 students. So around 15 students for Houdini. But the most interested about this was actually people who are using Cinema 4D. Here you can see how looks environment of Cinema 4D as using Redshift. So on the right side you have classic diffuse, reflection, refraction, subsurface. Surprisingly, in Maya it's totally the same thing. So if you would like to work in Maya, but you are taking our course which is on Cinema 4D, actually I have confirmed from all these people, because I'm in contact with all of them, that they have almost zero problems to take all information what I'm showing in Cinema 4D and use them in Maya. And especially when you are using already Maya, you are a little bit experienced user. So it should to take really just a little bit effort and you are able to good to go. And here is Houdini, again, the same. Right side, diffuse, reflection, refraction. You get an idea. So Redshift keeping it consistent. If you are able to understand in Cinema 4D, you are able to understand in other softwares as well, very easily. I created a trailer when I spent more than 1 month rendering of many objects. I bought models on TurboSquid, which was mostly without UV or was without textures, or if they have textures, that was primarily from V-Ray. So there wasn't just one TurboSquid model which was ready for Redshift. That was for me very important. And I spent my 1.5 months to create trailer, which I will show you now. that's how I'm spending 20 hours daily of my free time. And I created this trailer for our investors to show them what is our main idea. And of course, it wasn't enough. So they realized that they would like to see at least one chapter or something what will prove that we are able to create something what people will be have interest about. So I create the crab chapter, as I'm calling it, is about creation crab from the beginning until end of the process. And here I do not need sound. This chapter is available on our website, has 45 minutes. So you can watch entire process, how I'm creating this crab from beginning to end. Include selections, textures. All textures are procedurally because there wasn't exist UV coordinates for this model, and it was super high poly model. This is the perfect example where you will get all information what we are showing in the course. In proper studio and in proper pipeline, of course that for production, we have to create model which is not so high polygon, which is using UV coordinates and other proper things. But sometimes you need at home just take model and create something. You don't want to spend 3 days with the red topo, you don't want to spend another 2 days with the UV. After that you are painting it and you realize that UV is not working very well. After that you would like to small changes and you are going one week in the circle with the not very popular things at all. So I figure out that can be point what can be interested for the people. And expectations versus reality was that people really love this chapter. Even it was my first tutorial in my life, what I was recording in English. I had some small presentations in ILM. I recorded for them keying and stuff like this, especially in the Singapore studios. I had some very small presentation in double negative and I building compositor, and I was showing them some techniques as well. But this is different. You have to record in English 45 minutes for people which you don't know. Everything is recorded, so they can play it again and again if you are doing their mistake. That is actually very embarrassing. So my first tutorial wasn't recorded very well. Of course, we've been very careful that nothing like this will be inside the course. But what does it mean? If you are doing tutorial and you do not need to prepare it, you do not need to cut it, you're just going as it's going with the mistakes, with all the things. Let's to say that you will spend with 45 minutes tutorial 3 days. That sounds good. But what you will see in our course is different. Everything is pre-recorded. I have sometimes 50, 60 takes just for 1 minute. It's crazy. And after that, you have to cut it, you have to match it. So instead 3 days to spend with the 45 minutes, I'm spending 3 days with 5 minutes. And in our course is currently 100 of this kind of the tutorials. That's the reason why I'm working on this already 1 year. I hope that every student which take our course is appreciated and it was worth it, because behind this is really work which is very invisible. But we would like to be sure that our course will have real potential, that it will really get somebody who would like to buy it. And that was the most important thing for our investors as well, because they realized, okay, if you are saying that we are going to work on this 1 year, it's going to cost really a lot of money. And there is not exist product on the market which actually costs so much money. And I said, yeah, that's true. We can prove it only one way. We will go on Kickstarter campaign. And they said, yeah, that's actually really good, but Kickstarter campaign are preparing 4-5 months and they are not successful. And I said, okay, we have 3 weeks. Okay, that sounds very challenging. We can try it. Is it working? Okay, if not, let's go to do something else. So we literally prepared Kickstarter campaign in 3 weeks. It was running 1 month and we did it. So we showed potential that people really want to invest in this kind of the things. We got really very positive feedback, which made me super happy. It's creating energy why I'm able to work so hard on this, because it's worth it. And after that, we start to talk more to our potential students and take their suggestions. Because it's very important if you are creating something that you are not creating what you want, but actually what want people. That's the most important thing on the market. It's, of course, for anybody who would like to be matte painter, compositor, concept artist, art director, 3D modeler, CG generalist, FX artist, CG lighter, 3D game artist. Any of them needs to know how works rendering. Even you are a compositor. I'm working as compositor 15 years. But immediately when I start to go from junior to mid-level, from mid-level to senior compositor, I was getting more and more difficult shots. More difficult shots, they have tons of the CG. And if you don't understand how works reflection, what is subsurface scattering, you are going on dailies and their supervisor saying, yeah, can we fix these highlights or this problem with the subscatter in comp? Now, if you don't know what is it, you cannot fix it. Or actually, they assuming automatically that all these positions are very familiar with these things. So there even nobody thinking that you don't know. And that's reason why it's necessary, even if you are a compositor or concept artist, to know all these things. Because that's how you are avoiding shadows on the incorrect side, why subscatter works with the transparency as well, if I'm talking about single SSS. Because every single thing, every single shot, what you are combined together, or even full CG shot, using camera. Camera has lenses. Lenses have some physicality, and all these things are going together. If you don't understand these things, you will be really struggling to create great shot. So this is supposed to help you to be much more familiar with all those things. And that's why we decide to create 2 editions. For beginners and ultimate version, we will have model which looks like this, has no UV, is high polygonal, and I will explain you how to create this. Of course, it takes time. So to be able to create something like this, you have to take 666, just 66 chapter from our course, and you will be able to create without UV this kind of the textures. Here is another example, which is much more complex model, has also no UV topology problems and stuff like that, but you can have result like this. Everything is inside Redshift editor. There is not Substance help, there is not any painter or model or Photoshop or comp. This is direct render. If I will get it as IOV passes, of course I can create it even much better, I can make more variations, but this is without compositor's touch. Or sometimes happen that you buy a model which looks like this, he has textures, he has UV, all great, but your client wants more. So how I will create from this model, you will get all this information in our course as well. Another good example, it was very good model. I like how it looks, but it was old model. So this model cost 1K or maybe just 2K textures. So as you can see, it not respond the modern resolution, modern look. So I will explain to you how to create something like this from these textures, again, inside the Redshift editor without any external programs, no Photoshop, no comp. There is not just about texturing, about procedural, but we have chapters when we are going very specifically step by step how gender works, what is his advantage, and how you can actually use it even without surroundings objects. As you can see, I have reflections there, but there is not just one surrounding object. So what is already available in our beginners editions? Beginners edition is actually completely done. Everything what you need to know and start to be familiar with all basic things is actually ready for you. Plus, as bonus, is there 6 intermediate chapters, which are showing you some fun that is not just about parameters and explanation and physics and stuff like that. And also, we are creating some students request bonus. So if our students asking something, hey, can you help me with this one? I don't understand this one. I'm creating this content for them as well. Plus, we find database of free assets which free assets means that you are able to use them for your showreel. On the end, I'm helping you with my comments to create showreel. It's a two-way thing. Not everybody likes comments, but without comments is not exist in the FX industry. I'm doing this 15 years. I'm doing super difficult shot and I'm getting many comments. So it doesn't mean that you will work 10 or 15 years and it will be without comments. You will get comments always. It's because clients, it's because technology, it's because time consuming. Doesn't matter what is the reason. Always you will get a lot of comments, guys. So I'm trying to prepare these people for reality. But if I'm giving you these comments, you can be 100% sure that somebody else in the real production will give you even more. My purpose is not to make you feel bad, but prepare you for reality of the FX world. And now I will show you one chapter directly from this beginner edition. If you will not understand, it's okay, because this is chapter 44. So it means 43 chapters are before, where we are explaining how to connect the nodes, how it works, how it works editor. So you are getting tons and tons of information before. The point is that if I will showing you now how you are connecting nodes, I think that it will be just wasting of your time. So I would like to show you something else, which you will get taste what everything is inside.
In this chapter, we will have a look on triplanar projection. For this example, I'm using scanned 3D model with heavy UV mapping. And I will use random texture, which I will connect into the diffuse color. As you can see in render view, texture looks stretched and incorrectly mapped. For mapping texture on 3D model with heavy UV coordinates is responsible UV projection. Select material tag and under projection section, you can choose type of UV projection. Currently is used spherical projection. Let's switch to cylindrical projection. As you can see, cylindrical projection is not working correctly as well. Let's try flat projection. We are getting totally different result, but again projection is not working correctly. If you are working with complex objects with heavy UV, try to use redshift triplanar projection instead standard projection types. Triplanar node you can find under Utilities section. Drag and drop triplanar into the shader graph. Connect triplanar node into the diffuse color. Remember that triplanar projection always overrides other types of projections. As you can see in render view, currently triplanar projecting on the object single color. For better example how triplanar works, I will turn off option project same image on each axis. And now you can see the triplanar workflow using 3 different X, Y, and Z axes to project texture or colors. Axis X projecting red color, axis Y projecting green color, and axis Z projecting blue color. Of course, all those colors you can change for any other color combination. Also, you can use triplanar projection for creating object masks. But first you have to use color splitter node. Connect triplanar output into the color splitter input. And now we have 3 different channels with 3 different masks. Here is how looks output from our channel. Next is output from G channel. And last is output from B channel. Outputs from those 3 channels showing how works triplanar workflow. We can control smoothness of those masks with blend amount parameter. Lower values produce sharper looking results. Higher values produce smoother looking results. We can also use blend curve parameter. This value determines the power curve of the axis overlap blend and can be used to tighten or slacken to blending effect between axis colors. In this example, I'm using again basic setup with triplanar node connected into the diffuse color of material. Let's change image X color of triplanar node. And I will use the same color on each axis. As you can see, image Y and image Z is not active anymore. So remember, if you are using the same image or color for all axes, you will control image X only. But I'm pretty sure that you don't want to use triplanar mapping just for simple color. Main reason why to use triplanar node is texture projection. In project files and links PDF, you can find links where you can download free textures. Connect texture node into the texture image X. In render view, you can see the triplanar projection, projecting the same texture in X, Y, and Z axis. And finally, we are getting result which has no problem with stretching as compared to different type of projections. Let's try different texture now. And again, we are getting interesting looking result. Let's try one more texture. On those small details, you can see the triplanar projection eliminates stretching and is very useful. And now you can control texture scale or texture offset if you would like change texture size or position. Exactly as I explained already in Texture Node chapter. If you have not seamless texture, use Mirror U or Mirror V as I'm using in this example. And now I will show you how helpful is blend amount of triplanar node. If you have this kind of sharp looking transition, use higher values of blend amount. As you can see in render view, projection blend now looks much smoother. Let's connect all three textures now. I will use all three X, Y, Z axis projection with three different textures. And if I would like to use different texture for each axis of projection, I need uncheck option same image on each axis. As you can see in render view, now we are getting different result and three different textures, giving us many more options for final look of our object. We can also control projection coordinates such as scale, offset and rotation separately for each axis. Just be careful about big differences between scale values of each axis, because as you can see in render view, it can produce compressed or stretched looking results. Higher values produce bigger texture size, lower values produce smaller texture size. So you can have different texture size on each axis of projection. Offset parameters control separately X, Y, Z projection offset, similar workflow as using noise offset. You can use positive or negative values as well. Also, you can rotate with your textures and you can have different rotation for each axis of projection. You can use positive or negative values, depends on direction of rotation what you would like to use. Next is projection space type. By default, triplanar projection using object space type. Use object type if your object has any kind of animation and you need to have your texture stick with the object. World projection space type you can use for static objects, terrain or large environment. And reference projection space type use if your object using any kind of deformers. But the most common projection space type is object. And here is one more example how looks texture node output with how Mirror U and Mirror V. And now with texture mirroring. Also how blend amount and blend curve helping with texture blending. And how triplanar coordinates affecting texture scale, position, and texture look as well. So now you get an idea what everything is possible with triplanar projection.
Yeah, so now we get an idea what everything is possible with triplanar projection. Next, we created Ultimate Edition. Ultimate Edition has currently already more than 100 video tutorials. Also, there is everything from beginners levels, and currently I created 25 intermediate level chapters. There will be more, we are planning more. And again, if our students are requesting some extra material, I'm creating this as well. But what is the biggest plus of this edition is mentor's feedback. It means that you are in contact with me if you need help, if you don't understand something what I'm recording, or you are preparing your showreel and you would like my feedback. I'm helping all those students. I'm not sure how time is working for us. I have another example.
In this chapter, I will show you how to create procedural scratches from noise. Here is few examples from scene what I am sharing with you. First example using fractal noise without breakup. Next example is fractal noise as well, but I am using noise breakup. Next example is turbulence noise. And last example is turbulence noise with different parameters. In this example, I will show you step by step how I am creating procedural scratches from fractal noise. In shader graph, I have noise and ramp node with all default values. And as you can see, default fractal pattern doesn't look like scratches, so I have to stretch and distort this pattern. I will start with overall scale, and if I will increase overall scale a little bit, parameters changes what I am planning to do will be more visible. Now I need stretched pattern, so I will lower scale values for y-axis, and as you can see in render view, I am significantly changing look of noise now. As next step, I will remap noise values because I would like to see shape which is closer to scratches instead noise. As next step, I will change noise parameters. If I would like to see more details in scratches, I will increase complexity. In case that I need more simple shape, I will decrease complexity. Amplitude gain controls visibility of complexity details. So if I will increase amplitude gain, I will see less details. But if I will decrease amplitude gain, as you can see, I'm getting more and more details. Around 2 should be my sweet spot for this example. As next step, I will changing frequency scale until I can see details which I am looking for. As next step, I need to distort stretched pattern, so I will changing distortion and distortion scale until I will see result which is closer to scratches. I think this pattern start to look like scratches now, but all shapes are too thick. So I have to remap noise values if I would like to have thinner shapes. And as you can see in render view, powerful ramp node controlling thickness and look of my shapes very well. And I'm getting nice shapes variation as well. Basics for procedural scratches are working, so now it's time for second round with parameters. I would like to see bigger difference between shapes, so I will lower overall scale. I can also change scale for X or Z axis. Depends on object complexity and how many scratches I would like to have on object. RS noise has no seeds for generating noise, but I can use offset, which will help me with different look and different shapes for each axis. And here is something what looks interesting on this object. So I can move to noise section now. I will tweak amplitude gain value, frequency scale, and distortion as well. Be careful about distortion scale, because as you can see it produces big changes. But entire second round what I am changing parameters, you can see many variations of shapes which you can use as object scratches. And with ramp node you controlling shape's thickness and details visibility. You can also create scratches breakup as I showed in chapter before. Or you can separate unlimited parts where will be scratches visible and where will be not with vertex selection, curvature, state, or ambient occlusion node. In this example, I will show you step by step how I am creating procedural scratches from turbulence noise. Again, I will start with all default noise and ramp values. As first step, I have to change noise type from fractal to turbulence. And in render view, you can see that fractal noise contains shapes, so I do not need to use strong stretch technique to create them. If I will increase amplitude gain, I will see those shapes even more obvious and with less details. If I will decrease amplitude gain, I will see many more details. Shape what I am trying extract from noise is black, so I have to invert ramp, and after that I will remap noise values. And as you can see in render view, we are getting interesting looking result even faster than with fractal noise. Now I can change noise parameters. If I would like to have different amount of details, I will change complexity. Frequency scale will significantly change noise shapes, so it's important parameter for main look of my scratches. Distortion and distortion scale will help refine shapes, closer to similar look like have scratches. And again, if I will change RAM values, I will get even thinner scratches, or thicker, depends what I need. In noise coordinates, if I will decrease overall scale, I will get bigger looking scratches. If I will increase overall scale, I will get smaller looking scratches. I can change also offset if I would like to see different variations and shapes. Or I can change separately scale parameters if I would like stretch noise shape. In second round, I can again change amplitude gain for different amount of details, or distortion and distortion scale parameters for different looking shapes. And here is example where I am combining two different procedural scratches templates together. In render view, you can see how looks direct output from fractal noise. Here is how looks direct output from turbulence noise. And here is how looks both together, merged in color composite node, over screen mode. As next step, I created another noise template for breakup. And here is how looks our scratches after breakup. For breakup, I'm using this time color composite node and multiply mode. As usual, I'm using also multiply node to control scratches intensity. For final result, I'm using material blender. First material has darker gray color, and second material has white color. White color material is blended over scratches grayscale mask. Breakup controlling where we will see our scratches and how many of them as well. So if I will change offset parameters, as you can see, I'm changing scratches amount and position. And with RAM node, I'm controlling shape and smoothness of breakup mask. So now you get an idea how to create basic procedural template for scratches, or how to create procedural shapes from noise exactly as you need for your object.
So to be able to understand all these things what I show you now, guys, of course, I have to explain parameters, show you technique, you have to practice. And as bonus, we will prepare pipeline chapters, which will showing you how to use X particles and stuff like that. What everything you can learn, I think that you already get an idea. And here is what everything is already there, waiting for you. So all these chapters are already done, what you see now, and even more. And as I mentioned already, for me it's also important what our students think. So one of the things was that our students was really struggling with the hair system. So I created for them 30, maybe 35 scenes. Another very important thing for our students was SSS materials, where they were struggling to create jelly material, candle material, and many other materials based on SSS. So I create for them all those materials and even more what they've been asking for. And the last thing, what was very challenging, was skin shader. I actually prepared for you entire chapter about this skin shader.
In this chapter, we will have look on skin shader. As first step, you have to prepare basic scene with 3-point neutral lighting, as I explained already in 3-point lighting chapter. After that, apply standard RS material with skin color tone and low reflection contribution, as you can see in render view now. All these steps will help to prepare scene for better skin shader workflow. Skin shader you will find under material section. After applying skin shader on object, you can expect weird looking result. Skin shader using subsurface scattering workflow. All details about single scattering, multi-scattering or SSS shader I explained already. And skin shader using the same parameters and workflow. Only difference is that skin shader was developed primarily for rendering human skin. Exactly as for other SSS materials, for skin material is also important to have object in real-world scale. This human head has in y-axis around 30 cm, so be sure that your object using real-world scale as well. And because our object is relatively small, I have to decrease radius scale multiplier. In render view you can see now that the result looks much more realistic now. Next parameter is overall scale. Overall scale allows you to adjust the overall brightness for all scattering layers. Next parameter is diffuse amount. Diffuse amount controls how much of SSS effect you get. Increasing diffuse amount values, lowering SSS effect. Use default normalized diffuse weight option for physically correct result. Skin shader, similar like SSS shader, offering point-based and ray trace mode. Point-based legacy mode is older type, which works faster but less accurate. New point-based mode produces very good and clean result. Ray trace mode is the most accurate, but for clean result needs many samples. Skin shader contains also single scattering section, so if you need you can use single scattering as well. But in my case I am not using single scattering for human skin. The most important section is multi-layer scattering section, contains shallow, mid and deep scatter. Shallow scatter defines the pigment tone of the skin. Keep shallow layer radius values very low, usually default values works very well. Mid scatter defines the dermis layer. Again mid-layer radius default values works very well, and should be in range between shallow and deep radius. Deep scatter defines thick layer. If you would like to have more visible SSS effect, increase deep layer radius. For realistic looking skin is also important reflection section. I can use primary and secondary reflection as well. Skin shader using glossiness workflow. IOR for skin is around 1.44 and its default value as well. If you would like to see skin glossiness more visible, increase primary reflection weight. Or increase glossiness instead. But definitely don't increase both too much, because as you can see in render view, easily you can get unrealistic looking result. So try to find balance between primary reflection weight and glossiness. Use similar technique as I am showing now. You can also use very low weight values for secondary reflection if you need a little bit more visible glossiness. As next step, I will show you backlight technique, which I am using when I am working with SSS layers. Turn off all lights which contributing on object lighting. In render view you will see silhouette. As next step, create one backlight. For backlighting I am usually using area light. Light is straight behind the object. Use values which will not produce big hot spots. Try to achieve similar result as you can see in render view now. This setup will help you to see correctly amount of SSS effect. Very often artists using too much of SSS radius just to have more visible SSS effect, but it produces less realistic results. In reality, you can see clearly strong SSS effect on human skin, only in condition what I'm simulating right now. As you can see in render view, progressive rendering produces too much grain. So as next step, I will switch from ray trace mode to point based mode, and I will switch from progressive rendering to bucket rendering because I need to see clean result. Now I can clearly see how works SSS layers. The strongest contribution has deep layer. So if I will decrease his weight, as you can see I'm lowering SSS effect and it's not exactly what I want. So keep deep layer with weight values around 0.8 or higher. And control SSS intensity with deep radius. Currently, I have too strong SSS effect, so I will decrease deep radius for more realistic result. As next step, I will use dome light, but I will lower exposure for his lower contribution. It's just test how it works together. For better result, it's important to have GI contribution, and for final render, I'm using high quality SSS settings. I'm using also sharpen filter for more visible skin details. Backlight test works, so it's time to go back to original lighting setup. And as you can see, immediately I'm getting different but physically correct result. If your dome light produces flat lighting, you can use extra light which will help you with light breakup. Usually I'm using small area light in key light position. If you don't know how works key light, please check out 3-point lighting chapter. Also I will share C4D scene with you, but of course without turbo squid model. The most important for realistic looking skin is texture. Without correct texture, which have to contain all important details, you will be not able to have good result. I will connect texture into the shallow color now. As you can see, I am getting totally different result now. And I still cannot see texture details. I will switch back to progressive rendering for faster response now. As first step, I have to be sure that I am using full shallow scatter contribution if I would like to see texture details correctly. As second step, I have to strongly decrease mid scatter and deep scatter color contribution because these constant colors are reason why I cannot see correctly diffuse texture. And now as you can see I am getting much better result. But here is the problem. If I am using low mid and deep scatter contribution, my setup is not working anymore like I prepared it in the backlight test. On other side, if I will use correct weight values for mid and deep scatter, I can't see correctly my texture anymore. So I will decrease deep scatter weight again and I will switch to bucket rendering to show you how looks current result. It definitely looks much better than before, but we are using incorrect mid and deep scatter weight. I will show you now my technique which I am using to handle layers color weight problems. As first step I need color correct node. And I need more space in shader graph. I will connect diffuse texture into the color correct node. In render view you can see now how looks direct output from color correct node. My goal is replace color of mid scatter layer with texture. Mid layer has yellowish color, so I will shift texture hue to get more yellowish look. After that I will increase saturation and level scale as well. After that, I will connect color correct node into the mid color. As next step, I will use another color correct node and I will use the same workflow for deep scatter layer. Here is how looks direct output from second color correct node. This time I would like to have reddish and more saturated result. So again I will change hue shift to get more reddish look, and I will increase saturation and level scale as well. And here is comparison how looks texture for shallow layer. Now for mid layer, and now for deep layer. I will connect reddish texture into the deep color. And I will connect skin material into the surface output. In render view you can see now how looks current result. Finally we are getting more accurate result than before. And also I can increase mid scatter and deep scatter weight now for more realistic SSS effect. In render view you can see progress and how is improving result when all layers works correctly. For comparison I will show you now how looks result without the mid color texture. Here is how look result without mid color and deep color texture. Here is how look result without the deep color texture. And now again all textures together. If you need stronger or more colorful SSS effect, don't increase radius or other SSS parameters, because you did test already which prove that all parameters works correctly. But change color intensity or color saturation in color correct node instead.
Sorry for technical problems, guys. Sorry if you wasn't perfectly understand my English. It's first presentation in my life, and I was super happy to be here. Thank you for your attention.